good morning, class. Let us begin with the place where we left. So, we touched upon various headings talking about what is health. We gave a proper introduction. Then, we talked about how the Indian Constitution takes care and gives provision for the governments to look after the health care of its people. Then healthcare in India, we talked of where various schemes have been launched by the government. Then we talked of a case of Hakim Sheikh, where he was not given uh, proper medical aid in the government hospitals, and the private hospital costed him a lot, for which he sued the government hospitals, and he even won the case in his favor, where the court told him that the state government will reimburse all the amount which was spent on his treatment in the private hospital. So today we begin with the new heading. Let us study the case of two friends, Anmol and Madan. Anmol's parents were poor, while Madan belonged to a well to do family. It so happened that both fell ill due to viral fever simultaneously. Madan was taken to a big private hospital which had modern facilities. His father had to pay rupees 500 at the reception before the doctor examined Madan. The hospital was managed and the hospital staff was very caring. The doctor said that Madan would have to undergo certain tests. So he was taken to the laboratory where a lady took his blood sample. She was very efficient. The results came the next day. The doctor prescribed some expensive medicines and asked him to take rest. There was no need to worry. On the other hand, Anmol's experience of a hospital was not at all pleasant. After much debate, Anmol's father took him to a government hospital. As his father had anticipated, they had to wait for a long queue in front of the OPD counter before their turn came. The long wait made Anmol sick and weaker. As the doctor had been examining too many patients, he was in a bad mood. He sent Anmol to get some tests done. Again, they had to stand in a long queue for the test. The test results came after 8 days. Again, a visit to the OPD, only this time they found another doctor. He prescribed some fever reducing pills. He was advised not to worry because it was just viral fever. The doctor sounded irritated and tired when he was asked questions. Now, why did Madan's father have to spend so much money on his treatment? What problems did Anmol face in the government hospital? Who got faster and better treatment, Madan or Anmol? So now, before we move on, let me quickly explain this to you. Anmol and Madan were two friends, and both suffered from the viral fever simultaneously, and it was uh, Madan who was taken to a private hospital by his parents, though they had to pay a lot of money, though admission fee was great, a lot, but yet the best part was that the hospital was neat and clean, and the procedure of the entire things were very quick. There was no waste of time. Certain tests were scheduled, and those tests were taken quickly, and the result also was given out within a day's time. And seeing the result, he was given some prescriptions which were basically expensive medicines, and he was free from the hospital within 1 or 2 days. Whereas, on the other hand, Anmol, who went to the government hospital, had to face a lot of problems. Firstly, to reach to the doctor, he had to properly stand in a queue where he got more sick because of the long waiting line there. Then once he got his number, the doctors were irritated. They were not ready to answer a lot many questions because they had been examining the patients in a long queue. Then after, and they were, he was prescribed some tests, which another took a lot of time. And after 8 days, he again had to go through. So basically, the treatment at both the places for the same ailment was different. At the private hospital, it was fast, whereas in a public hospital, it was very slow. In private hospitals, there were no queues, no lines, whereas in the public hospital, it was a long queue of line and long waiting process. Now, in a private hospital, the expenses were more. The expenses were more, whereas in the public hospital, the expenses were very meager, very less. But what he had to face was the basic problem of the long duration for which he had to wait back. Now, both Anmol and Madan had viral fever, which was cured by taking fever reducing pills, but only at different costs. While Madan's father had to spend 3,500, it cost Anmol's father only 150 rupees. Okay, so you can see the vast difference between the two. Now visit a public health center of your locality, prepare a note about the facilities and efficiency of staff here shown and any outreach. The Public Health Service is a government undertaking which provides medical treatment both in rural as well as urban areas. In villages, it maintains health centers run by a nurse and a village health worker. The health centers work under the supervision of Public Health Center PHC. Please underline this Public Health Center. Doctors. It covers many villages together. Next is a district hospital at a district level. In cities, there are many government hospitals. Public hospitals provide service to all either free or at low cost. The money to run public hospitals come from us, the public, to provide quality healthcare services to all. Besides treating the general public, these hospitals also take up the task of prevention of spread of diseases like TB, jaundice, malaria, cholera, etc. Public hospitals also take up campaigns like public participation in eradication of mosquito breeding, polio prevention, etc. It is our basic right to get proper and timely treatment at government hospitals. So now, again, this particular paragraph tells you that the public health services is a government undertaking, and it provides the treatment in both rural as well as urban areas. Now, the villages, they have health centers which are run by the nurse or the health workers from the village only. Then the health centers have supervisions. They are looked after by public health center doctors. It covers many health issues and takes into account. Children, can you just tell me who is the one who's disturbing? If you don't want, I can stop here right now. I have no intentions of moving in a class which is not interested. I asked for extra time because I wanted you all to get into this knowledge. But if you are not interested, every off and on the mics are open. You want me to just keep an eye on you? I'll do that. Now you do the reading on your own from your books. I will just keep an eye on you. Let's see now who opens the mic. The one who opens will be thrown out. So we now come on to the next heading, private health facilities. As the name suggests, private hospitals are founded by the government. They are totally owned by private individuals or companies. to provide specialized testing services like ultrasound, x-rays, endoscopy, etc. Many of them employ highly qualified and experienced doctors who perform complex operations. There are many of them in big cities where they make enormous profits. They also maintain their own medicine outlets within the hospital. As we have seen, the treatment is fast. The treatment is fast because they are equipped with modern facilities. As cities provide better opportunities to doctors in terms of earning and facilities, most of them set up clinics there. Rural areas lag behind due to obvious reasons. So now they are telling you that though there are government hospitals not only in the village level, but also there are public health centers, PHC doctors appointed to look after the village. Then there are district hospitals, which are still few in numbers. And then we come on to the government hospitals in the towns and cities where they are equipped with the treatment facilities, and they also have several schemes which under which they have to check and prevent the spreading of TB, jaundice, malaria, cholera, etc., etc. Now, public hospitals, they take out campaigns for public participation. That means they work for the benefit of the public, making them aware that how they can keep their surroundings clean, how can they provide facilities for prevention of diseases like malaria, etc., mosquito breeding, how could the cleanliness could avoid it. So it is basically the government's basic duty to provide proper medical facilities for treatment of the people. Then we talk of the private health facilities, which are very prompt, which are very posh, and they are well equipped and with all modern facilities. But at the very same time, they are expensive, and the doctors they prefer opening up big hospitals in the big cities only. Why? Because they fetch a lot of money from here. It's a source of good and healthy profits. They charge a lot in each treatment, and though the treatment is fast because they are well equipped with modern facilities, but at the same time, it is very, very expensive. Now we come on to healthcare and equality. That means when taking care of the health, equality should be followed. That means all individuals, whether they are rich or poor, should be having equal rights for getting proper treatment. Now, let us see. With the increase of private participation in healthcare, more and more doctors are taking up jobs in private hospitals where they get much higher salaries as compared to government hospitals. As private hospitals have to make profits to keep up a good reputation, these doctors prescribe many unnecessary and expensive medicines. Poor people who go for treatment in these hospitals often land up in huge debt. Many have to sell their belongings to pay up the nursing bills, as the poor do not get the basic necessities like safe drinking water, adequate housing, and clean surroundings. They are more prone to illness. The costly medical treatment on top of it all makes their life miserable. So here they are telling you the problems faced by the poor people. Now, since the medical facilities are more advanced and quick in the private hospitals, so most of the doctors, instead of government job, they prefer private ones, and they earn more profits here. And to keep up with the treatment level, the advancement level, the private hospitals take up a lot of money, and also the prescriptions are at times more unnecessary and full of expensive medicines. Then apart from that, the people are poor. So if a poor person goes to a private hospital, he turns and comes out to be a bankrupt. Why? Because he doesn't have adequate sum left for himself. So now we've come on to this. Did you know, according to the UNICEF, more than 2 million children die every year in our country from preventable infections. That means infections which could have been avoided because of the poor facilities. UNICEF has said that most of the children die because of the uncured ways of living, unhealthy ways of living. Had they been following the proper way, they would have not resulted in this. A lack of money is not always the reason for not getting proper and timely treatment. Women are considered less important than men, so their health is not normally attended to promptly. All said and done, an illness in any family, rich or poor, is a cause of anxiety. So now basically there's one more myth in the poor families or illiterate among the illiterate, that women are not given proper treatment. They are not taken into consideration so efficiently as the men of the family are taken. Okay, but then they say that education, sorry, treatment, medicine, health, all should be treated for equality and is a cause of major anxiety if a family undergoes any problem of such kind. Now, what can be done? The healthcare situation of the majority of Indians is not very good. The government is responsible for providing good healthcare service to all, especially to the poor, as health is dependent on basic amenities, that is proper diet, clean environment, and good socio-economic conditions. It is important to work on both issues. So now they are talking of what can be done to get a proper health for Indian citizens. So for that, government is responsible and they should be providing good healthcare service, especially to the poor. And apart from this, the proper diet, the clean environment, and good socio-economic conditions should be prevalent and available for any rich or poor to have a healthy living. Then we come on to Anganwadi workers and helpers are the grassroots functionaries at village level for delivery of service under central and state government schemes. At present, Anganwadi workers are paid an enormous honorarium of about rupees 1000. Helpers are paid at the rate of 500. An insurance scheme called Anganwadi Ka- Karwa Karyakarta Bima Yojana has been launched recently. So now they are telling you about the Anganwadi workers. They are the volunteers who go to one village and to another, from one village to another, and making people aware about the government schemes on health. They also make people aware about the better hygienic conditions they should live in and giving all the details. And for this, they are paid an amount of 1000 rupees, and the helpers are paid 500 rupees. And also, there's a proper Anganwadi Yojana, Bima Yojana, so for the Karyakartas, that means the workers who work for Anganwadi. Now we come on to the Kerala experience. In order to improve the healthcare facilities in Kerala, a program was undertaken by the state government in which 40% of the state fund was given to the panchayat in the year 1996. So the Kerala government, what they did was they gave 40% of whatever scheme program they had to the proper government facilities and health facilities of the Kerala government, Kerala people, and it was in 1996 it was decided that the amount would be given to the panchayat. Panchayat is the village head. Okay. Now the effect, the panchayat was given funds to provide better facilities to the villagers. That means the villagers were given proper facilities. Food was made available to all the poor villagers. So food was given to them. Then women upliftment programs were organized to help them become independent and earn a livelihood. Earn a living. Education was provided to children. Anganwadis were launched. And because of all these good schemes launched by the government, the results were beautiful, were really very happening, very healthy results were seen. There was improvement in the cleanliness of water. The village also prospered, the diseases were less, the schools also had more children in them, and the facilities were quite a lot to an extent reduced. Problems now, still some other problems were there, like shortage of medicine and doctors, not enough beds were available in hospitals. Leaving a few small problems like these, rest was all taken care of. And this was a healthy scheme taken up by the Kerala government. Now we come on to the last heading, the Costa Rica approach. Now let me just quickly tell you before reading, though we have read this paragraph earlier. Now Costa Rica is a small country, city in Latin America. Okay, now that particular place, there the people, the country, the people of that country, they follow the constitution, and in their constitution, it has been mentioned that they will not have an army. Why? Because to maintain a large army for any country, it needs a lot of money. So they decided that instead of maintaining a large army, instead of paying for the weapons and making lethal weapons, they would, instead of that, using that money there, they would prefer to use it on the people's health. And so for that, they took measures. Instead of maintaining a large army, they provided public health to its people. And for that, the government of Costa Rica, they provide water, potable water and looks after sanitation and nutrition of people. It also provides housing facilities. Then the government spends much on public health care and education instead of wasting it on a standing army. With this, we come to the end of the chapter. You are supposed to do the glossary. You are supposed to write down the glossary, and then you are supposed to do the multiple choice questions, match them in your books, and exercise C, D, and E in your copies. I hope I am clear till here.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So we end the class here. Thank you, class.